Hi, welcome to Falkirk Dental Care. My name's Stephen Macaulay. I am a coach and a therapist, and I'm based right here in the practice. And for this video, I'd like to have a chat about sleep. So yeah, sleep is one of those things that, if we don't get enough of it, then obviously that can create lots of challenges for us and problems. And so it's really important just to understand a few things about sleep. And if you're not getting enough sleep in terms of time or the quality of sleep, then that's something that you should know a little bit about, and especially know what you can do to improve that sleep. So if we take a look at this graph, this tells us a little bit about both quality and duration of sleep. And those are the two main things. So if we look up here, we can see this is obviously wakefulness. So this is before we fall asleep. And then we have what we call Rem sleep, or REM. That stands for rapid eye movement. So that's when the eyes are moving rapidly under the eyelids when you're asleep. And that's an indication of mental alertness at some level. And then we go into deeper sleep. And that's what we call non-REM, or NREM. So that's non-REM sleep, where we're going deeper, so we don't have as much neurological brain activity, and actually we go into a much deeper, more unconscious state, and there's various levels of that, right down to level 4, which is the deepest. And if you've ever seen anyone in level 4 non-REM sleep, well, they do look very, very peaceful indeed. Now, we have also this axis down here, which shows time in hours. So that's the duration of sleep. So just roughly speaking, when we go to bed, we start at this wakefulness, of course, but we go to bed, and after a period of time, we will fall asleep and we start to go down. So we start to go down to the, hopefully, down to that level of stage 4 non-REM sleep, which is a really good, healthy place to be. It's restorative sleep. It's when the body repairs, and all sorts of good, healthy things happen down there. But then we don't stay there. We sort of maybe hang around for a bit, and then we start to go up. So we go back up, and we sort of go back into a light sleep, and then it's round about this REM sleep level here again. So just into a light sleep. And this, what we call a cycle or a circadian rhythm, it's all controlled by hormones, and generally lasts between 90 to 120 minutes. So about an hour and a half to 2 hours it takes for us to pass through that cycle. Now, adults tend to sleep anywhere from 7 to 9 hours. So we can expect to have a few of these. So when we're in that light sleep, guess what? Well, we go back down, and hopefully, if you're nice and healthy with your sleep, you go back down into that stage 4, and then of course back up again. These are cyclical. These are cycles. Now, you don't always go down into stage 4. You might, just go down into sort of stage 3, and then back up into REM, and then, maybe a wee bit lighter again as you're approaching the end of your sleep, and then just along, and just roughly like that. So, and then of course here, this is where you would wake up. Now, 7.5, 8 hours, whatever that is, and everyone's slightly different. For some people it's 90 minutes, of course, for these cycles, and for some people it can be up to that 120 minutes. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I've shown 5 cycles there, and that would be a representation of a really good, healthy night's sleep. So to have 5 of those is absolutely fantastic, and you will feel refreshed and restored and recuperated in the morning if you get that. Unfortunately though, lots of people aren't getting that. So we go down into that deep sleep, initially down into stage 3, 4, whatever, down into the non-REM sleep, and we come up, and for lots of people around about here, we wake up. So for some people, they get to sleep okay, maybe going to bed about midnight, and then waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And then you can't get back to sleep. For others, you don't wake up, but because we tend to, in these light stages of sleep, we tend to adjust our position. So we increase the neurological activity, the brain activity when we're doing that. And of course, we start to increase muscular activity because we're going to move, And the thing is, if you stay in one position all night, you'll be quite sore in the morning. So that's what that's about. It's so that we can adjust and move around And for some people, that adjustment, it just affects their sleep so much that, they sort of stay at that level right there of REM sleep. So they remain in a light sleep for the rest of the night. So for some, they feel as though they've slept 7.5, 8 hours, and they can't understand why they are still tired. They don't feel rested. Another thing that happens here is if someone's grinding their teeth or clenching through the night, that usually kicks off around about that level as well. Just coming up into that REM sleep when you're dreaming, when you're getting that rapid eye movement, that's usually when the grinding starts. And again, for the rest of the evening, you remain in that light sleep. So you're not getting these lovely dips, this deep restorative sleep, and that's clearly a problem because the body's not repairing. Now, what can you do with this, right? So you've got some knowledge. What can you do about it? Well, there's a few things that you can do right away. Getting up at a regular time every morning, even on the weekends. And even if you haven't had much sleep, even if you've only had 2 hours sleep, just continue to get up at the same time. Because you will fall into a pattern, because if you've only had 2 hours but you get up anyway, you'll be tired enough that evening to fall asleep a bit earlier, and you'll naturally fall into a nice rhythm, a predictable rhythm, and that's what the body likes. Also light, when you allow light into your eyes, and I think we all generally know this, if you're looking at a screen late at night, then there's sensors in your eyes which can mistake that for daylight. And your body releases a hormone called serotonin, which is the hormone that makes you feel good, wakes you up. And we don't want that when we're going to bed. And the other problem is that when your body secretes serotonin, it actually blocks the other hormone, melatonin, which is the one that helps you go to sleep. It's a natural sleep agent. And the way to secrete that or to elicit that, trigger that, is to get darkness, so that the sensors in your eyes are saying it's dark, it's nighttime, let's release some melatonin, natural sleeping aid, and off we go. So you can imagine that if you were to look at a screen, that's obviously not good late at night, but likewise, using ceiling lights later in the evening, not so good, especially if you need to use the bathroom or you want to go for a drink of water before bed. You go into a kitchen, you put on the big lights, the ceiling lights, and all that light floods in. Not good. So there's a tip. Darkness, okay, just dimming the lights in the house, just using lamps in the evening, and then making sure before you go to bed you don't walk into a bright room, and certainly you don't look at a bright screen or a bright lamp or anything like that, So those are some tips. Also practical things like make sure you don't drink too much before bed, obviously, because that can disturb you when you need to get up to use the bathroom, things like that, practical stuff. Yeah, but there's other things. So some people can get to sleep okay, and those tips will work for them. Some people don't get to sleep. Their mind is working overtime and they find it really, really difficult to get to sleep. That's something a little bit different. That could require perhaps a therapy session, quite easily remedied as well, but may require a little bit of assistance. Of course, when you're waking up through the night, that can also be because your mind's working overtime, you're feeling a bit troubled, and again, that's where therapy can be really, really helpful. So on that note, I'd like to invite you actually just to have a chat. If that's the case, if you're having difficulty sleeping and you're interested in getting some help with that, then we do offer a free consultation. So you can have a chat with me over the phone, or by all means come into the practice and we can meet face to face and we can have a chat, see what's going on, what's happening around sleep, and then we can set out a plan to get that solved for you. So yeah, if you just click on the link below, you'll find a link below this video or somewhere, and you can click on there and you can just book in a call on the calendar. And if that's the case, then I hope that you do that soon, and I hope we get a chance to meet and chat. And yeah, I hope you found that video informative, and sleep tight.